From wherever in the world you're joining us, welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. I'm Ben, and today we're going to share our thoughts on how to plan a trip to the place where Walt himself walked, Disneyland. Disneyland isn't just any theme park, it's the original Magic Kingdom, filled with a unique charm and a rich history that you won't find anywhere else. From the moment you step onto Main Street, USA, with its nostalgic turn-of-the-century charm, to the awe-inspiring sight of Sleeping Beauty Castle, every corner of this park tells a story and captures the essence of Walt's dream. Planning a trip to Disneyland involves a mix of excitement and strategy. There are flights to book, accommodations to choose, and countless attractions to prioritise. But don't worry, we've got all the tips and tricks you need to make your journey from the UK as smooth and magical as possible. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's get started on making your Disneyland trip a reality.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
So before we begin, I'd like to introduce my fellow wafflers joining me today. We have John.
Hi, Ben.
How are you?
I don't know. Is it summer yet? I thought I thought we could start with like all kinds of songs about like who'll stop the rain and things like that. You know, it's just like unreal.
We are in July,
Yeah.
so I'm hoping the weather's better.
I've half built an ark because June was so wet that I thought I'd make use of my time. I'd start building an ark.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether we're all going to need that up joining 2x2, but no, it's like I think. Well, I think the weather's going to be better, but also I'd like to welcome the rest of the team. So we've got Becca.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. Tired. I'm always tired.
So you need
I need a holiday.
That's what today's all about. So we also have Jill and Peter.
Hello.
Hi.
It's sunny
How are
here in
you?
South Wales. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's sunny here in South
Yeah.
Wales.
Excellent.
Could you send
Okay.
it to like
Yeah,
to England?
Everywhere
I
else.
was, as Peter doing his bit for the South Wales Tourist Board. You know, that's it.
This is why there's just a light. There's a lamp outside. It's not the sun. It's just the advertising. Right.
Everyone's currently scurrying for the phones and looking up booking.com. Here we go. Let's see. Can I get a quick weekend away in the sunshine in South Wales? There we go.
It's an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Don't do Cardiff.
Not often people say about Wales, is it sunny there? It's usually raining.
And also joining today we have Robin. Hi, Robin.
Hello.
I'm so of all of us here, I think you're the only one who's actually been into Disneyland.
Yes, three times. I think 3 times. I think we've been.
We're going to be relying on your
Well,
expertise.
see, I'm packing my bags for the rest of the show. I'm sorry. That's it.
Ready.
I'll just listen.
I'm ready.
I'll go on
I've
mute.
got a 4th on the way this year.
Wonderful.
John, before we think about packing our suitcases, I'd like to welcome everyone else who's listened back to our Imagineering Icon series. So last month, we celebrated the incredible contributions of the Sherman brothers. And this month, we continue our journey by honouring the legendary Marty Sklar, from his early days at Disneyland to leading Walt Disney Imagineering. Marty's creative genius and unwavering dedication shaped the parks that we love. So join us as we explore his remarkable legacy and enduring impact he made on the world of Disney. Over to you, Robin.
Born in 1934 in New Jersey, Marty Sklar was first noticed by the Disney Company while still a student at the University of California, where he was working on the university newspaper. He was recruited by Disney to create a newspaper called the Disneyland News shortly before the park's opening day. After graduating, he joined Disneyland full-time in 1956, where he was responsible for most of the park's publicity and marketing. Marty was firmly known as Walt's right-hand man, writing many of his scripted speeches, marketing materials, and a film showcasing Walt's vision for Walt Disney World and Epcot. Every Walt Disney fan, I'm sure, well remembers the presentation of the Florida Project, which Walt delivered shortly before his death in 1966. We can thank Marty Sklar for that iconic video.
Important part of our Florida project. In fact, the heart of everything we'll be doing in Disney World will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow. We call it Epcot.
Marty had his hand in some of our favourite beloved attractions from the World's Fair, such as It's a Small World and the Carousel of Progress. He also wrote much of the punny dialogue for Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, a personal favourite of mine. Sklar soon became president of Imagineering, a role of which he held for 9 years, overseeing the design and construction of Tokyo Disneyland, MGM Studios, Disneyland Paris, Disney's Animal Kingdom, Disney's California Adventure, Tokyo Disney Sea, the Walt Disney Studios Park, and Hong Kong Disneyland. He was the only person fortunate enough to attend the opening of every single Disney park in the world, from Disneyland in 1955 to Shanghai in 2016. In 2001, Marty was recognised as a Disney legend, and in 2016 he was awarded the Diane Disney Miller Lifetime Achievement Award from the Walt Disney Family Museum. He retired in 2009 after 54 years with the company. I had the wonderful honour of meeting Marty Sklar in 2017 when he was speaking at a seminar in Epcot during the Festival of the Arts. It is a cherished memory that will stay with me forever. The stories he shared from his time with the Walt Disney Company and Walt himself were truly magical, and it gave this Disney geek a deeper insight into what makes the Disney we all know and love. Just a few months later, in 2017, it was with great sadness that we learned of his passing. His loss could be felt widely across the Disney community. It seemed like one of the last links to Walt Disney had gone. Bob Wise said it best. Marty was one of Walt's most trusted advisors and helped turn his most ambitious dreams into reality. For us, it's hard to imagine a world without Marty, because Marty is synonymous with Imagineering. His influence can be seen around the world, in every Disney park, and in the creative and imaginative work of almost every professional in the themed entertainment industry. Bob Iger once said, "Everything about Marty was legendary. His achievements, his spirits, his career." And I think we can all agree with him on that one.
That's all I can say. I'm just blown away from the links.
What a beautiful
Like,
way
Robin.
of remembering them, though. And Robin, thank you.
Yeah.
That was absolutely stunning. And
Robin, I wish I was in your shoes when you got to
oh
meet him.
yeah, I think I do
I-
as well.
Do you know what? It was something it was a seminar that was added after, like, very, very near to the time. So it wasn't added when they added different seminars. I know they haven't brought that back since the pandemic, but they did used to have seminars in the art festival. And it was one that was added at a later date. And I happened to see it. And I said to Simon, I didn't really fully understand I didn't know who it was, but I didn't really fully understand the gravitas of who it was. And Simon wasn't with me on that trip, hence he wasn't in the photo. And we were sat at home. I was on I think my iPad, and I said, "Oh, look at this." He was like, "You need to do that. You need to book that right now."
Too right.
I was like, "Oh, do I?" He's like, "You
Oh,
need to book it
wow.
right now. Go on and book it."
Oh, wow.
So really, I have Simon to thank for that. And as part of the seminar, you got given a book and he signed it, and I had it dedicated to Simon because it was really him
Oh,
Oh wow.
that was
That's
the reason I got to do it. It was wonderful. I got to ask a question that I've always wondered. So as we saw in the video from Walt, Epcot was a city of tomorrow.
Yep.
It was meant to be where people lived and worked. Why did it change and become a theme park? And I've always wondered, and I didn't know the answer. So I asked Marty, and he said, because Walt's died, and without Walt, it didn't have the people backing it in the same way. It needed him. People backed him as a person. So they didn't want to let it go completely. So they decided to make it into another theme park, but still incorporate as much of his dreams of tomorrow that they could. So, yeah.
That's it's
Great.
incredible to think the amount of development when you think that Walt passed away, and this was his plan of what to do with Epcot, and how can you, if no one's backing this project, how can you still get that into the Epcot that we know today?
Yeah.
Because there's still parts of it, and I know we mentioned on our show last month when I said about the Moana section in Epcot that you can walk through and you just see everybody smiling, but also everybody learning something too,
Yes.
which
Yes.
reminds you exactly what Walt wanted
Yeah.
from his parks, to be able to just not just educate but entertain as well.
yeah.
Yep.
I think one
Yeah.
thing that really strikes me, and this goes back to really where Marty Sklar probably started, and it kind of mirrors where a lot of these Imagineers that we've talked about began. I'm thinking primarily with Bob Gurr as well. You know, they were in the right place at the right time, and they became part of that really trusted team that Walt grew around him. And suddenly, you know, Robin, it was so amazing when you're talking about how he was basically Walt's go-to media guy, and then he
Yeah.
suddenly then becomes sort of chief Imagineer, because that element of trust, he got it. He understood exactly what it was that Walt was trying to achieve, and that is that's the most stunning thing with so many of these Imagineers every single month. And if you've missed them before, go back and please go and listen to them, because they are so informative. They are so amazing, and these people have actually, as much as we go and live the Disney dream, they actually brought the dream to life and made it a reality, and that's the bit that intrigues me. For him to have been at every single part of every single Disney park and the opening,
Yeah.
is
For me, that was just incredible to know that he was there on opening day at every single park, every single Disney park in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
He's been there, and I'm sure a time will come and there'll be another park that will open, and I will think of him and the fact that he's no longer with us to be there. I will definitely remember him at that moment.
Yeah.
There's not much to say. Your piece was so detailed and so great
Yeah.
that I've not much to say really.
Yeah. I think, for me, I think it's as you said, it's the idea that his fingerprints are in every part. If you really, or quite possibly, but obviously you can see his influence in every part, and it would be lovely to kind of have a little things to look out for list.
Well,
Yeah.
keeping on today's subject, there is something to look out for in Disneyland. He has a window above Main Street in Disneyland dedicated to him. So when we all go on our visits to Disneyland, just John yet, we've got.
I know, exactly.
I think
Well,
we all.
end of the episode.
We've got another hour to go to convince him.
Well,
I think
I've already committed to looking for the Sherman Brothers window, so I'm there anyway. So
I think there needs to be. I don't know whether there is a resource with the windows of main streets across all the parks, but I think there really should be something that.
I don't know. I feel like there is, but now I've said that, I don't know if I've just made that up in my head, which I could have done.
If not, I feel like
Claire's got it.
I'm sure Claire's got that
Yeah.
book. Was it Windows of Main Street? I'm positive.
I
I will have a look, because if I can find something,
She's mentioned it.
I'll be buying it, because it's actually, again, because of what we've been talking about throughout this
I think we
year.
could do a whole show, or whether we discuss on a Wednesday. I think there's one of our shows we could do in the future.
Yeah.
And let us know in the comments or send us a
Yeah,
message on any of
beautiful.
our socials if you'd like us to talk about the windows in Main
Oh
Street.
wow.
Because
There
there's
is
so many
definitely a book.
different
Yeah.
there's so many
And
different, whether Imagineers or other cast members that have made that impact into the Disney company. And it's an incredible way of being rewarded, knowing that your name is in Main Street.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
legacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, a legacy for everyone in your family, really, isn't it?
Oh,
I
goodness,
presume
yeah.
it's the same in Mickey Way or Disney Way, whatever it is in Shanghai.
During Mickey Avenue.
Mickey
Mickey
Avenue,
Avenue, yeah.
yes.
I don't
I
know.
presume it's the same. I presume there are windows.
I don't know.
dedicated
There are
to
certainly
people.
some in Tokyo.
Certainly are, yeah.
And we just missed. We could have asked Gaz and Ange.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, spoilers for the mid-month of July.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
Cool.
you
Yes.
get in there.
All of July, if anyone hasn't noticed by any of our socials, that July is not a Walt Disney World month. It's going to be a month on our podcasts where we are talking about Shanghai, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Disneyland.
I'm
Yep.
excited.
Yeah.
All of my favourites. Wow, I think all of my favourites. I've only been to 2 out of those 4.
I think it's one of those things. The thing about we always think if we win a lottery or we get the opportunity to go and visit all the Disney parks. But Marty Sklar was able to be at the opening day of
Yes.
every Disney park.
He was able to go and visit
It's
all of them.
incredible. It's just I can't think of one thing that he was a part of that I think he will be solely be sort of remembered for. But I think everything collectively, when you think of the impact and how the Disney company has changed over the years, but yeah, I'm just blown away by it.
For me, it's how close he was to Walt.
Yeah.
And I really do feel like when we lost him, we lost like a connection to Walt because they worked so closely together. I really feel that he helped keep Walt in his mind when he designed things. Well, I like to hope that he kept Walt in his mind when he was designing things. And without him, I'm not sure it's the same. I'm not aware of any Imagineers that are still working for Disney or still with us that knew Walt well. No, I don't think.
It was
No.
really sad when you think of the passing of Piano Brothers.
Yeah.
That connection with
the
Walt,
last one.
and now it's
One
weird.
of the last ones.
Yeah.
So are we going to have to do like the Young Marvels and do a next generation series?
Ooh.
Next generation of Imagineers.
Well,
Coming to 2025 at the Great British Mickey Waffle. There we go.
We all become Imagineers. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
We need to go back to doing that show. I think once we did Imagineer for a day, what would you do?
Yes.
You could do anything in the parks. What would be the first thing that you would do? Maybe that could be a future
That
series.
sounds like a future show moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I said when we did that. I'll just go back and
Well, it
listen.
was that
Because
long
we do
ago
it
that I
again.
don't think it was around.
It's that long
So-
ago. Now Epcot's apparent, according to Disney Imagineers, and Epcot is now finished. I think that's the wording. The walls are down.
Yeah.
So Epcot is finished, even though Test Track has just closed this.
And the walls have gone back up there.
And all the back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Who would know?
Don't worry, next month is D23, so we will find out what is going
Maybe they've
on.
got
But
some,
honestly, thank you, Robin.
extra walls to put up somewhere. Then that maybe is what D23 signifies this year. You know.
You never know, John. You never know.
More walls. We'll find out where the walls are. So from Hollywood Studios to Epcot. It's either going to it's probably going to Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom. or
They
both.
could go to
I think we could
Disneyland
go
in
to Animal,
November.
isn't it?
I don't know,
Animal's
you've got
going to get
beyond,
the Encanto overlay.
you've got beyond Big Thunder Mountain.
Again.
Blue
Don't
Sky.
get me- See, you get me started on this. I have a rant about the fact that they keep saying stuff and then nothing ever happens. So, yeah, I'm gonna hold my counsel on this until we actually find out exactly what's said.
Every time you
Very
say
much
Beyond
so.
Thunder Mountain, I go to Mad Max.
Yeah,
Mad Max.
beyond the Thunderdome.
Beyond the
Thunderdome.
Or all the rumours are pointing, and I really hope it happens. And Robin mentioned it earlier. If there happens to be an additional park, that would be something that I'd love.
That's really goes round every D23
It
though.
does.
It does, yeah.
There's not a D23, I think, that we have reported on that hasn't had
Well,
that
that
mentioned in the rumour beforehand.
And we've been doing this since 2019.
Yeah.
Yep. 5 years
We
of
had a chat.
D23.
And it's never.
We had a chat with a friend who's an Imagineer who
Yeah.
seemed to squash that rumor with us, sadly. So I mean, of course, they would of course have to say no.
No.
However,
Yeah.
judging his reaction, I do believe him. We'll
It's
see,
not
won't
gonna
we? We'll
happen.
see.
Yeah.
I
One
think I
day.
don't know what they would put in it.
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
And
I
that
don't know how they'd theme it.
and I don't know what Imagineer currently in the Disney company would I want to be in charge of leading that project.
Joe Rody.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom 2 with an Everest that works. With a Yeti that works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
No, they'd probably go back to the History of America one that they almost did. That would be it's there. It's there waiting to be done. They still have the plan.
Or villains.
Or villains,
Mhm.
yes.
It'd like,
Just-
like Mickey's Not So
the
Scary
same
all
thing.
year
It's
round.
the same
Yeah.
thing, that though, isn't it? Sorry, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Yeah.
I want to say thank you, Robin, for putting that together.
Absolutely.
That
That
was
was
an
superb.
amazing piece, and it was a great way to sort of remember Marty Sklar. And I think now is the time that we should move on the show to get ready to spend some more money, which is I know
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
the day.
a lot of our shows this year have focused on planning and thinking about that future trip. And this time we're going to focus on Disneyland. It would be your next destination and how you can plan your visit from the UK. So Disneyland holds a special place in our hearts for Disney fans. As I said at the beginning, it's the park where Walt Disney himself walked, dreamed, and brought his vision to life. So what is one of the first things you think about when you want to book a trip? Because for us, we've only ever thought about going to Walt Disney World, only more recently thought about Disneyland. And the biggest thing for us has been time of year.
Right.
When to go.
And so it's one of those things because you've also got to think about holidays, and a lot of our listeners will probably have children as well. So if you're going as a family, is it a different thing? Do you normally go during the summer holidays, October half term? The weather is different in California versus what you get in Florida.
It is different, but it's quite temperate. Is that the right
Okay.
word? Where it kind of stays okay. It doesn't get majorly disgustingly hot like Florida does in the summer, but it
Okay.
also doesn't get freezing bitterly cold in the winter. Not usually. It does get
Yeah.
colder. In January, you will see locals wearing full length pants and hoodies. You'll see tourists like my friend who was wearing shorts and t-shirts while all the locals laughed at him. But really, it's kind of even temperature all year round. So
Okay.
I don't think you can go too wrong with the temperature.
Yeah.
Busyness wise, there's a lot of locals that frequent Disneyland, so it is busier at the weekend, much more so than Walt Disney World, that's just busy all the time. It is definitely quieter during the week. But something to make note of is they don't run all of the evening entertainment during the week because
No.
it's not busy enough.
Yeah.
So fireworks, Fantasmic, World of Colour doesn't run every day of the week all year round.
Yeah.
And they don't really announce what they're going to run that far in advance. So you kind
Only a
of,
few weeks before, isn't it?
you kind
Yeah.
of have to take a guess.
And it depends because with what I've looked up on the website, because we thought this, we're planning on going May next year. So it's like, okay, well, let's go we're only going to do a short trip. We're going to fly out and just do Disneyland. But the thing we thought is like, well, if we do it Monday to Friday, we're not going to get the chance to see any of the nighttime shows or the nighttime entertainment. So that we then go over a weekend, but then it's going to be busier. So
Yeah.
it's, and also you need to think about, from what I've read, you get peak season is when they will run the shows every night.
Yes.
And then off peak. So, and a lot of that does dictate when there are school holidays. So it's genuinely a good guide.
I mean, I will say about the school holidays, because you don't need as much time as you do in Walt Disney World. Probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You could go over February half term, May half term, those 1 week holidays, rather than during the 6 week summer holidays, and still get a good length trip in.
If you just want to do Disneyland, I think you could easily do that a week. And actually, Disneyland only sells maximum, I think, of 5-day tickets.
days,
They don't sell longer. So the first time we went, we bought a 5-day ticket. There isn't an option to buy a 6-day. If you want 6 days, you buy 5 days and a 1 day. So that'll tell you how long you need, really.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Disneyland Paris.
It's
like
I think there's more to do than at Disneyland Paris. There's more rides and more shows. I think anyway. But it's a similar sort of size.
Yeah, and you can walk between the two parks. It's not like that you need to get a monorail between Magic Kingdom and Epcot or a bus between Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. When you think that's like 42 square miles of you're covering, it's nowhere near that sheer size of having to get around. And you're not going to need a car to get from one park to the other. It's something that if you've been to Disneyland Paris, you'll understand sort of how close it is to get from one place to the other.
It's even closer than Disneyland Paris.
It is.
It is, yeah.
The parks are even closer together. The entrances of both, and the hotels are closer. I think the Disney hotels. Something that's different in Disneyland is the non-Disney hotels. Some of those are closer than
they
the
are.
official
Yeah,
Disney hotels.
they are. Yeah.
There's lots of options if you don't want to pay the money because they're expensive, the hotels, or you can't get in because again they actually get sold out because they're so popular. There's lots of hotel options that are within walking distance, so you don't need a car if you don't want one. It's not something you absolutely need. You could fly into LAX, and there are different options. There's shuttles. You could Uber. You could get in a taxi. There's lots of different options you have. It's probably about an hour's drive.
That was my first question, Robin, because actually that for me is it's quite an important one, isn't it? Because if you're coming from the UK, is first port of call, and what route is actually the best one in? And so certainly in the digging for this show, I go the old-fashioned way of looking at a map and then seeing where the airports are and stuff like that. Because actually, you could get flights into different places if you go in direct. But if you go to if you go into Los Angeles, nigh on all the big airlines travel direct certainly from Heathrow into Los Angeles, and you will get, because of the competition, you will get a decent price going direct as opposed to even thinking of indirect as well. So that for me was the first one, and then the second one is how you get from the airport in towards Anaheim, because for me it goes against that whole thing about having a car, doesn't it? Because
so I'll be honest.
Yeah.
We've done it before. We've hired a car. So the hotels, the non-Disney hotels, some of them you can get free parking at, some of them charge.
Yeah.
The Disney hotels charge for parking unless you are a Disney Vacation Club member staying in a Disney Vacation Club room, and then you get your parking for free. So we have done it in the past where we've hired a car and we'd spent more time in California exploring the area. And then actually on our last trip, we were just doing Disneyland. We were coming from Hawaii, so we flew into LAX. We got an Uber. Oh, no, actually, I lie. We had pre-booked a car there. So we'd pre-booked a car, a taxi service, dropped us straight at the door. Was cheaper and easier than hiring a car for those few days. Even the car was just going to sit there. So it actually worked out cheaper to do that. And then we Ubered back. And it was very easy to get an Uber, very easy to book a car in advance. That's what we're going to do next time as well, because we are just going to Disneyland.
How do they cope with the infamous LAX horseshoe? Or do you not know the infamous LAX? Oh, okay. The road outside LAX is a horseshoe.
Oh, right.
And apparently it gets very busy, and it's very, very bad, apparently.
Well, we landed at 11:30 at night, and by the time we got out of the airport, it was 12:30,
Oh
and
wow.
the roads were at a standstill at 12:30 at night. So it's very busy. I think that factored into sort of the cost of a
Yeah.
taxi or
Yeah.
Uber. It's factored into it. You know what you're getting. You know,
Maybe it's one of those things when you do land, you don't want to get straight into a traffic jam.
Mm.
it is.
Sometimes
And
it's
we
like, even if
will.
I'm going to get stuck, if I'm going to get stuck, I'd rather be relaxed in the back of an Uber than
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
driving.
someone else
Yeah.
driving me to my destination,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the flight
Yeah.
is that little bit longer. It's a couple
Yes.
of hours
Yeah.
longer than
Yeah.
going what we're used to going to
Mm.
Orlando.
And you'll be arriving to a different time, like a different
Yeah.
time zone, rather
So,
than
yeah.
5
Yes.
hours difference. You're immediately going to 8
8
hours,
hours.
which is
Yes.
5 hours is tough, but 8 hours is
Different.
quite
What a
something.
challenge.
It's quite a challenge. So
Yeah.
it does take a little bit of getting into, a bit like going to Orlando with the 5 hours difference.
Yeah.
For us, the last time, as I say, because we came back from Hawaii, we were going the other way. We were at 11 hours, so we gone down, so it wasn't so bad. But it did mean we didn't get to Disneyland until lunchtime the next day because we were still a bit jet lagged in the morning.
Oh. I think
And I think
the oddest thing for me really has been the fact that Disneyland is not set up for Brits in the way that Orlando is. In that, if you want to, particularly if you just want a Disney holiday, you can go on the Disney website, WDW, and it's all laid out there. You can book it through UK, you can book it in pounds. It's all set up for Brits. Whereas for Disneyland, yes, you can book on the Disneyland website, but it doesn't have everything in one package. So you've got to sort of think about your accommodation. You've got to think about your transfers,
Park
park
tickets,
tickets, all this
hopping.
kind of thing, hopping and
it
yeah,
is confusing, Jill, because
yeah,
as I mentioned earlier, we're planning for next May, but no, you go on there, nothing is done past January.
yeah,
No. Yeah.
Nothing goes past into 2025 yet. So it's like everything that we're looking at the minute is booking independently or booking through sort of travel agents or travel counsellors like
yeah,
Portal Travel,
yeah,
just to try and work out what the best options
Yeah.
are, because it's for us, we've got Disney Vacation Club, so
yes,
we can use our points. Not that, like Robin also said, availability is very difficult on these if you don't own them.
mm,
Yeah.
Or they can be very expensive if you want to stay at those
mm,
resorts. But yeah, it's trying to piece all those bits together, because I've been
yes,
looking
yeah,
at flights. So we've looked through Virgin, we've looked through British Airways. Not yet released are the flights for Norse, which is who
okay,
I'm really looking forward to seeing, because we flew with them to Orlando last year and we were really impressed on the price and the service, that if we can get something that similar price, I will book with them like tomorrow.
right,
I was really surprised at how, and the thing is, you're just looking for flights to Los Angeles
Yeah.
airport.
yes,
I just wanted
yes,
to add that in because not everyone might know what LAX means.
Yeah,
yes,
sorry.
yeah,
Apologies.
That's okay.
yeah,
It is a habit, isn't it? When we just
Yeah.
talk about like
yeah,
MCO,
Yeah.
mm.
Yes.
like
Airport codes.
airport
So
code,
yes,
WDW.
going back to this idea of transfers again with Orlando, you know that you've got Mia's there at the airport, or you can get Ubers, or you can hire cars, or whatever. Again, it's a bit of a, because there's so many different places you can go from Los Angeles airport. It's not so obvious, and yeah, our travel counselor has basically said, "Look, just get an Uber," and I'm kind of okay with that, because we've often found when we've booked transfers at places that you get off the plane, and if there's a delay, yes, they probably know about it. But then by the time you're getting your suitcases, they're starting to phone you or WhatsApp you and say, "Where are you?" And we've had a couple of places where there's been confusion about where our driver is and where they're going to meet us and blah, de blah. So I'm kind of cool with the idea of, oh, yeah, we'll just get out there when we get out there and just grab an Uber.
Yeah, Jill, we've used transfers on our first ever trip. It was on a honeymoon, and flight was on time, everything was fine, got there. But we were on a Mears coach, one of those bright yellow ones in
Yes.
Florida.
Yeah.
And it was just like we were the last drop.
Yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
waiting an hour. We went down
Oh.
passing from a different flight to be on that.
Yeah.
to get on board before it moved.
Button.
So it was like if we had the opportunity of get an Uber, we
Yeah.
would have been there within half an hour.
So next time we booked a private transfer, so we weren't dropping anyone else off. It was just for us. It was like a minibus. But it was that same thing of we weren't late, but the traffic was bad. Phoning, where are you? Versus the people that were hopping in Ubers were literally going on the app and hopping in, and off they went. So I think it worked out slightly more by like $10 because I even looked on the app because I was curious. It was slightly more to get an Uber, but for me, the convenience will definitely win next time. I think you're onto the right thing, and it's a very busy, big airport, so that the Uber stand is huge, and very easy to get to and easy to navigate.
And they're probably always coming in.
Yeah.
You'll be in, and you don't have to go far. It's just like across the street on a crosswalk to get to.
Is Lyft popular there, or is it just Uber really?
They're both available.
They're both
available.
They're both available, but I didn't check Lyft, and I regretted it afterwards because I was curious. Afterwards, I thought I wish I'd looked at both so I could see the price.
Majority of them work for both.
Yeah, that's what I was about.
We've been in an Uber. We've ordered an Uber, and one with a Lyft sign turned up, and he just turned it around to Lyft.
Do you know? I have a tip for you. A lady who was working at the airport told me to walk. I was saying where we pick up our car, and she said, "Is it an Uber?" And I said, "Oh, I it's not, but I don't know if they want us to meet them at the Uber stand." She said, "If you're calling an Uber, just walk over to the hotel over there because here it's busy and they do surge pricing and it won't be over there." So if we walked, we could see the hotel. It was the Hampton Inn. If we'd walked there, and you could walk, you could clearly see there was walking to it. She said it would have been much cheaper. So that's one that I'm saving for next time.
We'll be saving that one as well.
Noted. Yes.
I know that
there's a lot of things. I know we've said that a lot about Walt Disney World as well. It's like when it's busy at the end of the day in Magic Kingdom, and it's like I'm going to walk to the Contemporary, because then I don't have to get the ferry back to the
TTC.
to the translation ticket.
In LAX, there's two possible places for your plane. You have to be really careful, I believe. One is the proper international terminal, but was it Terminal 2 as well?
Yeah, I think so.
There are two possible terminals for your plane, and it isn't sometimes obvious which one you're going to get.
Okay.
If you're pre-booking something, you're not sure where you're going to land. Pick up the right one.
Have to be really careful that we know where we're going to land.
Usually, if you go onto an airline's website, it will give you that information. It is online, and I think I'm going back to the Uber part of it as well, because I think for anyone who's actually planning something like this, the internet becomes your friend, and also
it does. Yeah,
you try and don't think of it in that old traditional way of booking a whole complete package, because you can get people to take it apart for you and do the travel part, to do the transfers, that's brilliant, because actually, I think you said, Ben, as well, our friends at Portwood Travel are really good at actually providing that backup for you. But you can actually do some of the homework yourself and do it. Don't go into this blind, because for a lot of us from across this side of the Atlantic, I think for far too long we've always felt that we book a holiday and we expect it handed to us on a plate, and actually we shouldn't, because the information's there, and if you want to go and explore further afield, like Robin did by having a car, it's not a problem. It's easy to do, and make the whole day work for yourself by doing what you want to do, rather than just sort of what you feel is just there. And I think that whole point, Peter, I think you made about your trip as well. That whole bit about only having 5 days for a ticket, and it really makes you keen as to how many days you're going to be in Disney.
Yeah,
but then looking further afield, you think, oh my word, how much is there out there to go and explore? And I think that's the exciting part for me, because it's.
Do you make that trip to Universal? That's not too far away, and it's other bits to it. Because I remember we've done shows before where we've spoken about San Francisco, other
Yep.
place in California, Alani. As you're flying all the way out there,
Mm.
is it worth making it a bigger trip? Because I know that Alani has been on our list
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Ever since we bought into Disney Vacation Club, Alani was one of those
Mhm.
where I was like, oh, we could go and do that one day.
Cool.
So
I think this is one of the occasions for us where ambition met budget
Yeah.
and had a spirited discussion because much as we would love to have 2 weeks and go and see San Francisco and LA and all these other places, in the end, it came to, look, if we want to go this year, basically we go to Anaheim, we go to Disneyland, and we've got 6 full days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically that's what our budget stretched to. And for us, that was really the heart of why we were going. So nice though it would be to do all the other stuff. We're kind of thinking, right, well, we've got 5-day ticket. We've got 1 free day. So I'll be looking for suggestions on what to do with that 1 free day.
We've been looking at
buy an extra day ticket.
we've been looking at day trips, things like wine region trips.
Mm.
Oh,
things
wow.
like-
Honestly, Peter, I you know me. I'm sure you know me by now. I don't really do Universal Studios. It doesn't really interest me. There's a lot of big coasters and motion simulators, both of which make me want to vom. So I don't think However, Universal Studios in California was something else. I think we did 1 ride. That was it all day. And we did the backlot tour twice because they were filming. So we wanted to see what they were filming, different things during the day. And we looked at all of the film artifacts. And that was the day gone. That was the whole day.
Wow.
So I would say if you've got a spare day, I would go to Universal Studios.
Okay.
It's definitely one of the things we're
We're
thinking
looking
of.
at.
Like you, again, I'm a ride wimp and I don't do anything with simulators or coasters or anything.
I'm with you.
So yeah, but that said, it's an easy day, and the backlot tour looks interesting. How did you get there?
So that was on a trip where we had a car. Unfortunately,
Okay.
doesn't help. So we had a car on that trip. We stayed in Grand California for a few nights with a free stay, and we stayed over near Universal. Actually, it was kind of near Universal, but it wasn't one of the partner hotels. And then we spent some
Okay.
time visiting LA and seeing some other stuff. I would say if budget allows, which we're all, let's be honest, tied to budget. If
Mhm.
budget allows, even if you don't want to have a car and pay for it in Disneyland, you can pick up a car, drive to Universal, drive the Hollywood Hills, drive Mulholland Drive,
Oh, wow.
Rodeo Drive, see all the fun touristy spots. You could drive to San Diego. There's the San Diego Zoo. There's SeaWorld there, if that's your thing. You could drive up the Pacific Coast Highway to San Francisco. Like there really are opportunities are endless, and the options are endless.
Mm.
But if budget is we get to Disneyland and that's the dream,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're getting to Disneyland.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
main thing.
Another option we're thinking about is possibly having a down day, bit of a quieter day, and exploring the on-site hotels and downtown Disney. So perhaps going for a coffee and something to eat in one of the hotels, maybe having dinner in one of them, and doing downtown Disney.
Napa Road.
Or yes, Napa Rose. Or there is a possibility. There's something called the Packing District.
Yes, we
Yes.
nobody's laughing this time. That's good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Peter. After that conversation about the Packing District, Simon went on and looked it up, and he was like, "This looks really good."
Yeah.
It does. Yeah,
It does actually. Yeah, it looks a really nice place to spend some time. We've seen a few YouTube videos, and it just looks a nice place to explore and very easy to get to. So that's a possibility
I think
too.
it's always a difficult thing when you're booking a holiday. And I think we've touched on this quite a lot. It's all about the constraints, whether it's budget, whether it's location, whether, and I think for us it's time constraint. So because you have the 5-day ticket, for us we're only literally going to plan to go and do Disneyland.
Mm.
And I think a lot of it is due to sort of annual leave and that sort. We could go to Disneyland Paris, but then when we've priced it up and gone like, I'm not spending that much just to go to Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
I can spend a similar amount, or maybe a couple $100 more, a little bit more, and I'm going to California to be in a park that I've never been in before.
Yeah.
And the difference between that is I am so much more excited for that trip
Yeah.
than I ever have been about going to Disneyland Paris.
Right.
There's just something about being in that park that I think that started it all.
Can I address something for people who are listening? Because actually, we've talked about budgets and that being a prime mover in this.
Yeah.
How much are we talking about? Because actually, in the course of planning for this show, I've actually taken a week or six nights flying out of Heathrow, and I'm quite shocked because, like you've just said, Ben, we're actually, because you're going for a short period of time, I fully understand that. But in comparison to Disneyland Paris, this is actually a little bit of a game changer, and I might be missing something. I've not costed him food, but then I have to pay for that when I'm in Paris anyway.
It's a difference of costs in America and Europe. Things cost more in Europe than they do in America.
Yeah, but
it's
not
just
that. But it's not that though, Peter. It's the actual transportation and the actual hotel, and then when you put the tickets in as well, it's not far off. It's not far.
It's not.
It was for us.
It's not
for us.
Really?
For us, yes. Oh
I
yeah.
have to admit, for the 5 nights that we've looked for next year, we've costed around £3,000.
Right, I've gone 6 nights, Ben, and including a 5-day Disney ticket, including Genie Plus, with direct flights into Los Angeles, with a Disney View hotel room, because I thought if I'm going there, I might as well have the hotel room as well. For the
off-site.
But yeah, it's in the Hilton Anaheim. Is it?
Yeah,
Hilton
Hilton Anaheim.
Okay,
yeah.
But we're not talking. I'm quite shocked because I basically got the whole trip, including tickets, to about 3,700 without any haggling. And that's just basic basic internet search, and I could.
Our prices originally was including Disney Vacation Club renting the points.
Right. Okay.
We're
going in November. And ours is 7 nights. 6 days, 7 nights. 7 nights. Yeah. And it is premium economy flights.
Right.
Because we do want a bit of comfort, so that does push the price up.
Yeah,
we're staying at the Sheraton Park
on Harbour Boulevard, 10 minutes walk away,
and it's just over 5,000, including 5 days tickets
and hopper tickets,
and Genie Plus.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. Everyone has a different thing that they're looking for, because we've had a lot of discussion over the weekend of what we want, and I remember showing you the Clarion that is literally a 10-minute walk away from Disneyland, and flights and the room on British Airways was around about £1,800. And you said to me, do you want to repeat it, or maybe we should on the show?
It's like along the lines of over my dead body. I think
that was yes. But as we've said so many times about Orlando and booking a Walt Disney World trip, everyone has a different way of doing it. Everyone has a different way, and you choose where you want to save the money. For us, it's an extra couple of hours on the flight, but we're happy to go from premium to economy, maybe even lower economy if we're looking at Norse, but then pay differently. Look on how you do it. Everyone's there's no right way from all the shows we've done. There's never a right way to book a holiday.
Whereas
if there was,
our last Disneyland Paris holiday cost us just over £1,000, including trains to London and Eurostar and hotel the night before and hotel and park tickets. So there was a big difference.
And that's the bit that Ben was trying to say as well. Because actually, because we live up north, if we're going to Paris, it becomes add-on after add-on. And this for
Yeah.
me, it's a short period of time. And actually, if I turn around and it doesn't at the moment for me, it doesn't tick the boxes enough, primarily because we're limited in which times of year we can go. To put the whole plan into fruition, and also to enjoy it, because actually it would probably be just me going, and I'm not allowed to do that, because actually I get a kicking off the rest of the family. It's just like,
Too right.
yeah.
John, you don't need to tell them. What you need to do is you need to go to the park, take a photo,
I've tried,
and just say, "Look where I am."
Ben, I tried that when we first started this, and when we were discussing with Lloyd about just booking a golf trip and things like that, and I said, "Oh, look where we ended up."
Golf trip.
Boys' golf trip to
Golfing at
Florida.
Saratoga
Yeah,
Springs.
exactly. But it's the same thing, and I think for everybody, does that, it's what you want from your own trip, and I think we've always said this as a podcast. It has to be right for you. It has to be where you want to go. And actually, there are so many different choices. And I think when we touch upon what comes up in the mid-month show with Gaz and Ange, and also what Peter and Jill have already previously done in going to Tokyo, if you want that whole experience of going and experiencing a different Disney park, it's there, because it's all online, and you can price it up, and you can actually get an idea of what's right for you, and what you want to achieve. It's no longer a case. And it was funny, because I was watching something recently on TV, which basically was looking back on 70s and 80s package holidays and where it all started. And we had sort of Judith Chalmers giving us this TV show where everyone was
Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, but everyone was just sort of booking that whole thing, and it was just, you were booking what you see on the TV, and that's not the case anymore. And we can make it as bespoke, and you can make it as special as you can by doing that little bit of homework. And I think, Robin, you're a prime example.
And one thing I will say, yes, absolutely. One thing I will say is that, all right, Tokyo and Disneyland are shorter trips than our usual Orlando trip, but both of them were considerably cheaper than we would normally spend on an Orlando trip. So there is that.
If you are going to go through an agent, don't just go to the one on the high street.
Yeah.
Book through a proper Disney qualified agent.
Who knows what they're talking about, and knows what they're doing.
What the best thing to do is actually do your own research first.
Yes,
absolutely. I think it helps a lot. It will help you understand, but it also help your travel agent or your travel counselor, or your
that's what we do.
Understand what you want, because sometimes if you go, I want a Florida holiday, their job's enough difficult trying to extract that information from you.
Yes, yeah.
It can be quite a difficult thing to work out what you want from your holiday, because everyone has a different. Some people will happily go, I want a Florida holiday, but I want to do all the parks once, and I want to be in Miami for the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's a Florida holiday. It's what you asked for.
Yeah.
But it's a different type of trip.
Yeah.
Oh, going back to budgets slightly, I actually usually say to people that to go to California is more expensive than a Florida holiday. And I think that is comparing staying in a Disneyland hotel versus staying in a Walt Disney World hotel. The Disneyland hotels are more expensive than Florida, than they are in Florida. But there are so many hotels that are in walking distance. There's a Super 8, which comes with a free breakfast, which is usually less than £100 a night, which is within walking distance. So you don't have to either stay on site or hire a car or all the things you would want to do in Florida to feel like you are within the bubble, as we say. Where I think in Disneyland you can get away with staying just outside and still feeling you are part of it.
Harbor Boulevard is just basically hotels.
It's just hotels.
That's what it is. Yeah, restaurants. Yeah.
I remember just looking on the map on my phone and going like, okay, you zoom in, you see like, okay, here is the park, here is this. And then you just see like, oh, hotel, 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 hotel. Yeah, there's plenty of food options. And that's the thing. It's one of those, everyone has a different way of looking at it. And I think we do this when we go to Disneyland Paris. We've stayed off site, we've stayed on site, we've looked at what the food locations are around. But I have to admit, in in what is driving me to another Disney park, it's doing something that I've now not done before. And it's pushing me out of my comfort zone, and going to California is a different
Mm.
place. And also when we did talk to Gaz and Ange, the Kershaws, about their mega Asian trip, where they were able to do Shanghai, Hong Kong, Tokyo, it's made me also think that there are places that also are on my list that weren't on there before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Walt Disney World, how amazing it is, and how it is that dream destination. Sometimes you need to
Mm.
leave the bubble to realize what you miss in it.
Yeah.
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 Watching all
Absolutely.
the videos from Tokyo at the moment with Fantasy Springs just open
Yeah,
made me want to go
did-
back.
Yeah.
And the yen is so good, so
And-
weak against the pound at the moment.
Really.
This links us straight back to where we were talking earlier about Marty Sklar, who
Isn't it
was
just?
there
Yeah.
opening day at every park.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
one of those things. Every park is not the same. A lot of
Yeah.
people that go to Disneyland Paris and go, oh, it's Disneyland, it's the same. Or go to Disney
Yeah.
World and say, oh, it's the same as Disneyland Paris. Why am I spending more to go here or there? Every park is different.
Yeah.
Yes, some of them have similar attractions like Tron, but not all of them are in the same place. Everything's got a different sort of
Yep.
setup, and it's just, I can't wait to
Yeah.
experience them all.
I think the thing that
One
I
day.
find it hard at the moment to get my head around is Galaxy's Edge being in Disneyland Park.
Yeah, not in its own Hollywood Studios type.
You wouldn't think.
Yeah.
I would have thought when it was announced that it was going to be in
Yeah.
California Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally what
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
but no,
Yeah.
it's Disneyland. And
And it fits quite well because of where it is.
Okay, yeah.
It actually works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's definitely. Going back to thinking about planning. So obviously, Jill and Peter, you've gone to a travel agent to help you plan your book to how to book. Ben and Becky, you're waiting at the moment, but how do you plan on booking it? Do you plan on booking the flights first or the hotel first? What do you-
originally the plan is we were to book the hotel for our Disney Vacation Club, but because of availability, that's not there anymore. We were going to wait till the flights are out late. The flights are out now, but we usually wait till Black Friday to get the best price on flights.
Oh,
Usually.
you'll be waiting a while.
So we'll be waiting till November.
We'll be probably buying our Walt Disney World next September trip flights at the same time we're buying our May.
September.
I must
So
admit
we
though,
will-
guys,
September.
last week I was nearly off to Florida, just myself, because
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see some of those TUI flights?
no,
Like £250
but I wouldn't.
each.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not even touching TUI. Yeah. I don't go there. But certainly with Virgin, just because I was interested and I clicked through and I just thought, but the price had just absolutely plummeted. And again,
Yeah.
you can't if you can go quickly, within 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm.
There's plenty of seats on some of these planes that are flying across the Atlantic at the moment. The demand isn't there because the prices have been so high. The airlines at present are quite happy to take the high price because
to get you on the planes.
yeah, but they know they will cover their cost, whereas they don't have to fill every seat on the plane. I think when we did our mid-month with Josh and Morg, and we were talking about their trip out there. On Josh's flight, they were on was it A350 out of Manchester. There was 180 people on it. The plane can take
Is that it?
400 people. He had 3 seats to himself, and
Wow.
and this is what we're beginning to see now, is that behind that charade of charging massive prices, the airlines are realizing actually the other business bit about, well, if we cut the price, maybe we'll get more bottoms on seats, kind of makes more sense because actually it makes them a lot more efficient. So
I wonder how many flights are going to do, and Virgin started it last year, having what I would probably say is the Ryanair philosophy.
yeah.
You charge low, but then you want your bags, so you add on what you.
Oh, they're all.
It might add. It might add up to that same bit, but when you actually, John, I know you booked for your trip that you booked through Delta.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to pay for
No
the seats
no seat
because it was
reservation.
already
It
included.
worked as a treat because we did the same with Josh. We booked the Virgin flight through Delta. He was on the same flight as everyone else. It worked absolutely perfectly. So it's worth
Robin, to answer your
doing.
question,
Yeah.
we've decided to look at hotels, look at flights, price them up independently, but also we have approached Portable Travel to get some pricing so we can work out what's going to be best for us. Because we're going to be going in May. It's going to be a busy-ish time. The date, I think we're going to be there for Star Wars weekend by the looks of it. So that's going to be fun.
Becca, were you aware of that?
I was. So I might have been the one that chose the week for a completely different reason. Because my thinking was, A, there's a bank holiday this week.
Gain a day back of annual leave.
Sensible approach, yes.
But B, it's not half term like the one later in the month. So in theory, it should be less peoply.
Yeah.
I hope
I'm not
so.
quite sure it's going to work out that way.
Whatever happens. We're going to go there and we're going to enjoy it.
Yes.
You will. And next year is a big year for Disneyland. So you never know, they might start celebrations. Our first trip to Disneyland, we booked the whole trip before we realised it was the 16th anniversary. It was the anniversary. Although technically I don't believe it was the anniversary while we were there, but they
make you
had
believe
the
it was.
anniversary while we were there. They had filming every morning for Good Morning America. Every morning the main street was covered in confetti where they'd been filming. And then they had a 24-hour event that we made it to 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And that was just as it happened. And we were there in May. So
one thing that really surprised me when we mentioned earlier about fireworks is that they have fireworks in Galaxy's Edge.
Yes.
Which they don't in Walt Disney World.
No.
Yeah. Another reason. And this is the thing, you need to look at what you want from your holiday. And I've said this a million times already, but I'm so excited and I can't wait to go.
Yeah.
Even though we haven't booked it yet. All I've done is booked my annual leave. That's how
that's all.
Yeah.
You're
Going back to tickets. Obviously, when we go to Walt Disney World, there is a special ticket that's aimed at UK guests that is basically 14 days for the price of 7 most of the time. And it covers all the parks. It's park hopping, it's water parks, it's golf, it's blah, blah, blah.
And obviously, photos.
And the photo package as well. Disneyland, obviously not the same thing. And as you mentioned, Robin, that the 5 days is the most they sell. But what do you think about the options of adding on park hopping and adding on Genie Plus?
Genie Plus, personally, I think it's worth it because for most people, it might be your only chance to go to Disneyland. Get on as many rides as possible with as little wait as possible. I kind of think that's my philosophy, and that's I'm sure what we will do when it comes to September. Even though we've been before, I'm sure that's what our plan is.
There isn't much.
You can pre-book it with Genie Plus, as in like you can have it added onto your account, so you don't have to have that panic in the morning. Oh, I better go and pay an extra for this, pay an extra.
But there isn't.
You just have to walk into the park
Ben,
and then open
in the actual price of buying the ticket. When you look at attraction tickets, you can buy the without option, and they list what you can is actually there for how many days that you want with or without Genie Plus. But when you look at it without for 5 days and you look at it with for 5 days, you're basically scrimping about £100 to £150 or something.
Yeah, it's a couple of hundred.
You're not talking big money, and in the bigger scheme of things, what it'll give you, like Robin said, it'll give you that ability to go in and just enjoy it over that shorter period of time. Whereas when you've got like a 14-day ticket in Florida, if it's busy, kind of just you duck out and I'll come in for rope drop another day or whatever. You haven't got that. You haven't got that thinking time when you arrive in the place. So I would say that for me would be something that it'd be well worth it.
And park hopping.
How I think is it my memory? I was only looking at tickets the other day. Is it $70 extra to add hopping for the whole trip?
For the whole
Yes.
trip.
So
Yeah.
for one day,
Yeah.
it's only $70 more for the whole trip.
Yeah.
If I had a 5-day ticket, not sure I would pay it.
Oh
Only
dear, we have.
because
I
yeah, I'm not sure.
Always
I
forget
I
to-
would, because I'd always be frightened of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And
But the thing is, you get to dedicate one day. It depends on your plan, I think, doesn't it? It's like
Yeah.
once you've worked out your list
Yeah.
of what you want to do,
Mm.
Yeah.
you can then work out, actually, I can do this here.
Yeah.
If it's a busy time of year, maybe having a
Yeah.
park hopper be beneficial.
What-
So last time we went, we didn't. We've always had it in the past, and then the last time we went, we had 4 days, and we decided not to get it because we were like, well, that's 2 days in each park. We don't need to hop between the two, and we didn't
Yeah.
need to. It was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably not going to do it for the next trip either,
Mhm.
Well-
only because I'd rather save the money on there and pay for Genie Plus. I
Yeah.
haven't.
You can't hop at
haven't-
Tokyo, so it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of the same.
Tokyo, we had absolutely no option. You have to buy a specific ticket for a specific park for that day. You don't have a choice, and there is no hopping. So we've done it without. But the main thing for us was we talked about the shows not being every night. And what
Yeah,
we thought
that's
was if you have park hopping, then that means that
It gives you
whatever
an
night
extra day.
World of Colour is on, whatever night Fantasmic is on, whatever, we know that we can go to that show in that park, whatever park we've been to during the day.
There's definitely some freedom in it. There's definitely some freedom, some merit in it. I think. Yeah. As I say, I've never used the Genie Plus before. I have always had a DAS Pass, which is a disability assistance service, something like
Yeah.
disability access service, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's recently changed, and I'm
Mm.
99.9% sure I will no longer be eligible. So it's going to be. I'm going to be spending the next few months understanding Genie Plus and working out how to make the
most
most
of it.
out of it for our trip.
Mhm.
Do you know, there's something we haven't talked about yet. And it's something that appears in every one of our shows. We haven't mentioned food.
Mm. Yeah.
And I have to admit, every time that I've looked at Disneyland on vlogs before, the food, especially the snacks, look much better
Yes, they do.
quality
Mhm.
They do.
and better value than what you get in Walt Disney World.
I definitely think that snacks are they are a level above Walt
Yeah.
Disney Worlds. They are. I think it really does the consumer benefit to have annual pass holders because they just won't put up with it. When you go to Walt Disney World, a lot of people go once or go once every now and again. They don't go every weekend. If you're going every weekend and spending $9 on a pretzel,
Mm.
Yeah.
if it's not good, you're not going to buy it next weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas
true.
if it's good, you'll think, well, I'm going to pay for that again. Whereas I think at Walt Disney World, they're not really banking on repeat customers. They are banking on the once in a lifetime people.
Just
And I
So
think
how do you explain the bad snacks in Disneyland Paris then?
It's French.
That's
Yeah.
there's no excuse for that.
Just
You
the
know.
bad
But yeah.
food,
I-
I think, is a show.
But I-
is a-
I think that's perhaps another reason that people concentrate on the snacks and the quick service, not so much on the table service. Because if you're local, you're not going to pay those prices to eat in a table service restaurant in the park when
Not
you can
every
go
weekend.
10 minutes outside and go to Denny's or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, I have already made my food list because I don't have tickets yet, but I have a food list, of course. There is
Priorities.
lots of snacks on that list, and a lot of quick service, and only 1 or 2 table service. One table service that we did last time, and I think we will probably do again. We did the Riverbell Terrace Fantasmic Dining
Package, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's three different packages you can do. One is the Blue Bayou, which is the most expensive and the most central viewing area. Then there's the Riverbell Terrace, which is just off to one side, and then it was the Grizzly Bear, but I believe it's recently changed to like
It has, yeah,
Me-
because Grizzly Bear's Run closed.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the Mexican place I forget the name of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the cheapest option and the worst view
Okay.
of Fantasmic. There's nothing on the menu there that I fancy. Blue Bayou is a bit expensive, so we did Riverbell Terrace, and you can even do it for their brunch, which the menu looks fabulous. So I
Okay.
think we'll be booking it again, and it's definitely worth doing. You don't have to stake out a spot for Fantasmic. It's a bit like, I say it's a bit like in Florida, Fantasmic dining package, except you can sit down, or you can sit down on the floor. You don't have to sit down on the floor, just so you know, Jill and Peter, I know you're not fans of that. You can stand at the back.
No.
If not, people, because they're locals, they don't have anywhere to be. They'll stand and stake out their spot for Fantasmic for a couple of hours.
Wow.
And
Sounds
that's
like
a long
Tokyo,
time.
yes.
Yeah. I want to be off doing things. I'm happy to pay the extra little bit
Yeah.
on my meal to.
You used to be able to get a terrace view, though, didn't you? I
Yeah,
don't
there
think
is.
you can
There
now.
was, or I think there still is a
I
version.
think you can. So if there's 2 showings of Fantasmic, you can pay and have the seated terrace view at Riverbell Terrace, which is, I think, might be more expensive, and it's only eligible for the first show. And actually, all the reviews I read, it's not a great view. You still got
That's
trees
what
in the
I've
way.
heard. Yeah. I mean, partly, okay, I'm old and creaky, and the idea of sitting down is a good one, rather than standing up. But on the other hand, if the view's rubbish, well, I'm not
What are
paying
you paying
extra.
for?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas if I get the sort of version that has the standing room, at least I'm not standing around for an hour or more. Because
Yeah,
I'm not good at standing still. Walking I can do, standing still not so much.
I'm with you. I did actually sit down on the floor. I mean, it was fun trying to get me up, but I did sit down on the floor. And I think by the time it got to that point in the day, I was just like, oh, I need to sit. And we did the second showing of Fantasmic, and the whole area was very, very quiet. Yeah, we got there about 15, 20 minutes before the show, and perfect view, had no one sat in front of us.
And
It
I
was great.
think you can stay there and watch the fireworks.
I believe you can. I think that's what we did. You can do. You don't have to rush off to watch the fireworks from that. The
And
fireworks.
they have a special connection with the fireworks, though, don't they? You see things in the Fantasmic stadium that you don't see
from the castle.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought the fireworks were okay.
And during the week when there are no fireworks, but the show is going on, it's still projected on the castle, but it's also projected on the small world.
Okay.
as well.
Oh, wow.
So if you wanted someone that's slightly less crowded, because
Yes.
Small World's not as popular as the castle.
But also in the week, if it's not too busy, they'll also do the projections down Main Street.
Yeah, that's part of the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good, and I'm glad that they brought that from there to Walt Disney World, because that's just given a completely different dynamic of witnessing an evening show.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and we're looking at the dining packages. I think there's one for World of Colour as well.
I believe there's a dessert party for World of
I was gonna say there's a dessert party for one of them or both of them.
I'm sure. So things have changed since I was last there. It was a couple of years ago, and obviously that was closer to the pandemic. I don't know how it's changed. The dessert party, when we looked at it, you got a plate of desserts that they had put on your plate, and you paid a fortune for it. So
I think it's
we
back to
did not
buffet.
do that.
I think it's probably back to buffet by now. Or
I'd like to hope it
choose-
would be back to
yeah.
buffet, and I maybe would be tempted.
just because I want to refill constantly. If I was spending a lot of money and this goes for any dessert party, I want my money's worth.
And I think they do also have cheese and crackers as well, don't they? So,
On this dessert plate, which was one plate, there was some cheese and like 4 or 5 teeny tiny desserts, and that was your $100 or so. And I was not about.
I'd be wanting to order 3
I'd want at least 5 plates.
Yes, exactly. I could be tempted though. We didn't have a good view. We didn't rock up quite early enough last time, so. Although Simon and I've seen it before, his parents hadn't seen it before. So we were quite disappointed we didn't have a great view. So I could be tempted by the fireworks dessert party. We'll see.
See, as we're all getting to book that trip, because I know some of us probably are closer than others, I would like to know what your attraction that you are looking forward to the most on your next trip or your first trip there. So I'm going to start with Robin.
Oh gosh, that's really put me on the spot. I mean, Radiator Springs is epic. it's everything that Test Track should be and isn't. And I don't even
Okay.
like cars, and I think it's wonderful. So definitely, it's a
Okay.
brilliant, brilliant ride. However, I'm gonna go really out there. You're gonna be surprised when I say this.
Wait, I
Oh
can't
gosh,
wait.
and I forget the official name. It's in California Adventure is my favorite park in the world
Yeah.
that I've been to. And it's in California Adventure at Pixar Pier.
Yep.
It's like they look like rockets and they go round and they kind of swing out slightly on really long chains. Imagine, if you will,
Yes.
a
I know.
swing.
Yeah.
Is it like
Yeah.
the Zorba something or other?
They've
I
got
forget. Someone will
something
look it up
very.
for me.
They got something very similar at Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
Yes.
So Simon and I went on it for the first time last trip. I don't think it's got the
But they
same
have.
vibe at Blackpool. I'm not sure it's the same vibe. And at night, it was all lit up. And
Yeah.
honestly, I thought it was just so magical. Me and Simon sat in this thing going round. It was one of those moments that stuck as a core memory for me. I loved being on it with the lights, all the lights up, the darkness, Pixar Pier.
Yeah.
It was just, it was really
Okay.
magical.
It's not. You've got. I'm just having a look at the ones that are picks up here. You have. It's not Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind.
No.
No,
No,
that's the
No.
other.
That's kind of
further
balloon ride.
round. Past Goofy's flight school.
Hmm. I'll have to.
We were.
Yeah.
If anyone knows,
Yeah.
Do you know what?
comment
I'll find
and
it.
let us know.
Yeah.
It
I'll
does look
find
very
it.
like the one in Blackpool.
It does. Yeah.
And there are actually
I'm
lots of
sure
connections
it's the
between
same
Blackpool
ride.
and Disneyland, actually. There are. No, there are historically there.
I
As
tell you,
those who
I tell
went
you
on
what,
the
you've done a
Disney
great job.
days out
So
below.
we've had South Wales tourist board and now the Blackpool tourist board promoted to the
Yeah.
hills in this.
All we need to add now is like Dreamland
Well,
in Margate, and we'll be
Yeah,
done.
yeah. Can I also just point out, if anyone's listening to this in any other part of the world except the UK, and you're not quite sure about whether to go to Disneyland in California or to come to the UK and go to Blackpool, California
Disneyland.
is the answer.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every time.
Yeah.
Just to be assured. And if you're listening in Blackpool, that's no offense to you, but you know exactly what I mean. Because I have lived in Blackpool, so I know. There you go. I'll put that there.
Yeah.
But
But
I've got the
actually,
name.
You've got
I've
the
got
name,
the name
Robin.
of it. It's called the Golden Zephyr.
Ah.
There you go.
Okay, Peter. What is your choice for?
I'm going for
Disneyland?
2 if I can. I'm being greedy.
Okay, is that one per park?
No.
Okay.
Having done the Alice ride a lot at Blackpool, and knowing that they went to America before they did the one in Blackpool, and it's kind of based on it, I would like to do that just to see the difference. And also, because we've never done it before, I want to do Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah, it's
Because
good.
it's just something different to
Yeah.
what I've done.
I agree. I think that's a great choice, actually.
Yeah.
How about you, Jill?
you see, I was going to say Mr. Toad, but as you know, I'm a ride wimp. I'm not going to be doing Mission Breakout and all those kind of things, although I might do the queue. But
You'll
yeah.
be doing Rise to Resistance.
Yeah, I'd definitely be doing Rise of the Resistance because I loved that. But yeah, Mr. Toad, I would love to do. It just looks such fun. I was brought up on Wind of the Willows, so, I know the story. Okay, there's some differences in the California version, like Toad going to hell, which does not happen in any other version. But it just looks such fun. But actually, no, my number one choice, and strangely enough, it's a ride that I have done before. Because it's a ride that I've done in Walt Disney World. But it's Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And the reason for that is the ride is the same. I think it's exactly the same by the look of it. But the queue is specific to Mickey and Minnie. And the building is the El Capitan Theatre.
Yep.
And instead of being sort of squeezed into a building that wasn't built for it, this building is just completely themed to Mickey and Minnie, and there's all sorts of little things in the queue to look out for. So that's one that I'm really looking forward to.
All of these are definitely going on my list. How about you, John?
I was gonna turn around and say the biggest thing about going to Disneyland would be walking up Main Street, but it'd be more than that. And I think leaving the rides apart, I want to go and ride the monorail, and I want to go and ride the monorail in memory of Bob Gurr. I'm going past it back a few months to Robin started me on this whole show. I've had in the back of my mind of just the history that's involved in certainly within Disneyland, and the most amazing people that have been involved in the actual making it a reality. I want to go and do the monorail, and I want to walk up Main Street. I want to go and see, just spend that time and just look at everyone's window. But I want to just give it a little moment of reverence. The rides themselves, I can go and do anywhere. Yeah, I could go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach. next time we're
I feel like we've done Disneyland a disservice. We really have.
But I really, that for me, the monorail and walking up Main Street would just be the quintessential bringing the whole history part of it together. And for someone like me who's massively big on the history of Disney, that more than anything else, that would be the only reason that I would even go to Disneyland. You know, I wasn't meant to go to Walt Disney World way back in the day. So so that was a golf trip that was sort of kiboshed, and suddenly that spark of light came to me. But that would be where Disneyland sort of comes to fruition for me, and just purely from a historical point of view. And I know my eldest son he knows he's got a ticket that works at Walt Disney World because he's a cast member, and it'll work in Disneyland. And he's looking for an excuse, if he has a long weekend, to make use of that cast member privilege. To just go, and even if he doesn't do it, and just gets the flight there and actually gets the ability to stand outside and just see it, I think for him that would make it, because he gets that historical point of view, and it's a massive thing. And I don't mean to do. I don't think we have done Disneyland a disservice, because actually I think
no, we haven't.
I think really as a park itself, I really think that we've probably asked a few more questions of our listeners this month than we probably.
I'm just waiting for the emails.
I know, that's
and
right.
the pictures of it.
I was thinking.
You know, like you're gonna get like a travel brochure. It's like, here we go. We're going through. Oh look, Blackpool, Disneyland. Which one am I going to?
But we've done this before. We've talked about we've talked about Disneyland Paris. Oh no, I think okay, I'll save up a little bit more and I'll go to Florida. I'll go back to what I said before. I was stunned, basically as how affordable this can be for a week away. In comparison,
if you're listening,
and,
if John's off to Disneyland.
Yeah. I'll wait for the pension to come in first.
What is your choice? Disneyland.
So mine's not a ride.
Oh,
mine's a whole land. Avengers Campus. Wasn't there really any questions there?
See, I narrowed you down to be like Tower of Terror.
No, just the whole of Avengers Campus. Every single
just
part
all of it.
All of it. The characters, the food, both the ride, the shows if they're still on.
I'm going to take us off topic a second. One thing to note about Disneyland, there's characters everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere. I counted out how many characters we met last time, and it was 20-something in 4 days.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
It was 20-something in 4 days. And okay, we did do a character meal, but there was only 4 characters in there, so it wasn't like it was loads. Yeah.
Again, Robin,
They don't have
I think this
traditional cues for them either, do they?
I think this goes back to your point earlier, Robin, and I think this is really pertinent to the whole argument of where you want to go, because actually, as you mentioned before, as regarding food, and you also get to the characters, everything is different at Disneyland, and what it is, it's for the locals, and the locals demand exactly this, because they want to come back weekend after weekend after weekend, but they want the same thing again and again and again. Whereas in Florida or in Paris, it's based around that once in a lifetime kind of bit, and if it doesn't go kind of right, then we'll get away with it because you'll have forgotten by the next
I
time
don't
you
know.
come.
Paris has lots of locals.
Yeah, Paris is mostly locals.
Paris
as well.
gets lots and lots of locals.
I think Walt Disney World is the odd one out, really.
Yeah,
because Tokyo is mostly locals as well.
Well, maybe the French should complain a little bit more about some of the service. Maybe they need some of the farmers and all that in there to sort of make their point, because Disneyland and Paris have not listened to the locals. I'll say that.
I think Disneyland, it's just one of those ones that if you're a Disney fan and know any history of Walt Disney, it's going to be a must for you to go at least
I think that's exactly
to tick it off your list. And I think that's the point that we're at for our trip. And to add my attraction, I want to do everything there. But well, maybe the one that I don't want to do is the Matterhorn bobsleds, because I don't want
no, you have to.
I'll be doing it.
You have to.
I'll be doing it.
But actually, the attraction that I'm most looking forward to has already been spoken about, and it's the Land of Radiator Springs.
Yeah.
That is
the whole land.
I love Test Track.
Yeah.
But I cannot wait to go. And I know Test Track is now closed for a year-long refurbishment. So I'm very much looking forward to next year being a time to go and experience that ride. But yeah, there's so much that I couldn't pick just one. There are so many different things, and it's the entertainment and so many different things that I've been watching people's vlogs and videos of things like marching band, and just how things are different in Disneyland. Like we've already said about the characters, there's so many different things that I'm looking forward to. And I know that this 5-night trip will probably be first of many.
I think it will be.
And I a bit like when we say about a first once in a lifetime trip to Florida, then 14 times later we're still saying once 15 once in a lifetime. And but I think you just need to get that first trip done and out of the way.
Yeah.
And then you can start planning the next one.
You learn things on the first one. It's that very weird thing that when you visit another Disney park that you go, this is very familiar but different.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I feel at the moment. So if you'd asked me the question before the pandemic, which was my favorite Disney park or resort, which was my favorite Disney resort, I would have said Walt Disney World. But with the lack of entertainment that Walt Disney World has since the pandemic, it has fast become Disneyland, because they still have a lot of entertainment.
Yeah.
And to me, it feels like there's more magic there. I was riding the trolley car and Minnie just got on for a ride. She went up and down on the trolley car with us. It was amazing.
Yeah.
If I get on the trolley car, I will be singing.
And there's a nighttime parade.
Yeah.
Magic Happens is on the day and at night.
Yes.
That is on my list.
Sorry, John.
I have to say, I haven't watched a single thing of it. Anytime someone shares it, I quickly skip past it. I'm going to see it for the first time when we go.
Oh, that's going to be amazing.
Very nice.
It was my sort of anthem through COVID, because I'm just think the first few. It was just before the parks closed.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks before, and it was like I watched that all the way through the pandemic. Kept me going, and it was just I love that song. I love that, and I can't wait to just go and see it. And
I can't wait. I can't wait for a proper parade. It's been a while since I've seen one of those.
Yeah.
There is one thing that we've not talked about seeing, and it's only small, but it's Walt's room window with the light.
Yeah.
Surely that's a must for any Disney.
It would be that, wouldn't it? That was.
I think there's so much in those parks that possibly more in Disneyland than Walt Disney World, but I could
Yeah.
be easily corrected. But there's more of those nods and those things that because it was Walt's Park.
Yeah.
There are going to be so many things that you just that feel of magic, just knowing that you're going to be walking down that same main street that Walt did.
Yeah.
We did look into booking the tour, because you can book a tour where you end up going into the lounge.
Yeah.
But we decided maybe that's for a second visit.
Yeah,
We've always been tempted, but only if we won the lottery, to do the Adventures by Disney.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where you can go
that's
to Disney
fantastic.
Imagineering, you can see the Jim
Yeah.
Henson Studios.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
are so many other bits that I'd love to do, but it is only 5 days.
Yeah.
We almost came this close to booking that.
Yeah.
This close.
The price.
Bank manager disagreed.
As a possible 50th anniversary. Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
We Simon and I have obviously done the walk in Walt's footsteps, and we've been inside his apartment.
Yeah.
So that's if you didn't already know and you're listening to this, there is an apartment Walt had that he used to stay in above the fire station in Disneyland Park, and there is a lamp in the window, and the light is always on as a nod to Walt's always with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that reverential part of going and being there. And I think that for me, it kind of, it fills exactly what the whole of this show's been about. You know, from Marty Sklar.
I want to do the exact same thing Marty Sklar did and be at every park. Go to every
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
I'd love to just be able to go, the opportunity to, if it turns up and happens, not going to say no to it.
Planning a trip to Florida? Planning a cruise? Plan on just getting away anywhere in the world. Forward Travel are your first and only stop along the way, making moments into memories. Contact them through our website or through their Facebook and Instagram profiles and tell them that the Great British Mickey Waffle sent you there. And may your next magical adventure begin.
We hope we provided some valuable insights for booking your next trip. Maybe like some of us, you'll be inspired to visit the original Disney park on the West Coast. So if you missed any of our previous shows, don't worry, you can catch up by downloading them from your favourite podcast app or watching them on our YouTube channel. So to stay up to date with all things waffle, follow us on our socials, which are at GB Mickey Waffle on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. Don't forget, we're live every Wednesday at 8:30 on our YouTube channel, so come and join in the chat. We love hearing from you and appreciate your support. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a rating and review on your podcast app. And for those on YouTube, a like and subscribe would mean an awful lot to us. So thank you again. And there's just one thing left to say. See you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my